Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is a regular scheduled City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, March 12th. Madam City Clerk, can I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Deborah Robertson.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Ed Scott.
Present.
Councilmember Joe Baca Jr.
Here.
Councilmember Trujillo.
Present.
Councilmember Carrie Sellers.
Here.
City Treasurer Ed Carrillo.
Present.
City Administrator Sean Grayson.
Present.
City Attorney Fred Galante.
Present.
Okay. Thank you. And now if I could ask everyone to please stand and join Councilmember Trujillo as he leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance, following up hopefully Pastor Braxton for invocation.
Thank you so much. Everyone put your hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. And I don't see Pastor Braxton, so I would ask who would like to.
Pro Tem's pretty good.
Go ahead, Joe.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Heavenly Father, we ask for your blessing this evening on this city council and its decisions that it makes. Help us to guide the city in a wise manner. Help us to be fiscally responsible and continue to move our city forward in a positive direction. We also ask for your blessing this evening on our community, our police, our fire, our residents, and the other employees in this city. We ask that you keep them safe, protect them, and guide them into a positive direction. We ask this in the name of our Father, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. All right, please be seated, please. Okay, now I would ask if the city attorney would report on closed session.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. The City Council met in closed session and discussed the following items as listed on the closed session agenda. Beginning with item A, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation. Item A, Tyrone Green versus City of Rialto workers' compensation matter. City Council received an update, provide direction, no further reportable action was taken. Item B, Jesus Carrete versus City of Rialto workers' compensation matter. The City Council again heard an update, provided direction, no further reportable action was taken. Items C, D, E, and F were discussed collectively. Those are the tank farm litigation matters. C is Equilon Enterprises LLC, D is Phillips 66 Company, E is SFPP LP, and F Tesoro Logistics Operations LLC, all against the City of Rialto. City Council received a collective briefing on those cases, provided direction, no further reportable action was taken. Item 2, conference with legal counsel. One item of anticipated litigation under the heading significant exposure to litigation. City Council received an update on that potential threat of litigation, provided direction, no further reportable action was taken. Item number 3, City Council received conducted the public employee performance evaluation, title interim city administrator, provide direction, no further reportable action was taken. Item number 4, the last item, conference with labor negotiators concerning the employer organization Rialto Firefighters Local 3688. City Council received an update to the status of those negotiations, provided direction, no further reportable action was taken. The City Council adjourned at 6:17 p.m. out of closed session. That concludes the report out of closed session, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you, City Attorney. And now we will do a presentation and proclamations, and we have one presentation today that's going to be presented by Councilmember Joe Baca Jr., and that's for certificates of recognition to the Rialto High School boys soccer team. All right. Looking
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council and community. It gives me great pleasure that we get an opportunity tonight to honor some great accomplishments in our community, because one of the things that's really changed in our community is we've become a big soccer community. Over the years, times have changed. At one time, we were a baseball, basketball, and football community. With the demographics changing, so has athletics in our community. But one of the things we've had the great honor of doing is having CIF champions here in the city of Rialto. Let's give it up for the 2019 CIF champs soccer team. Give them a round of applause. Congratulations. Real proud of this group. They're ranked 81st in the state of California, so that's a big deal. They're nationally ranked. They won CIF. They lost a tough one in the state championship, state regional championship. Very proud of them, and it's good to see them dressed up. Look good. Wow, didn't recognize them. But no, it's an honor to recognize them and support them here, because we got to encourage our kids that, we got to recognize their accomplishments. And the good thing about these kids is they're really good kids, and they're good student athletes. They really handle their business in the classroom, but also on the field. And one of the things about this group is they're one of the most fit groups. And I'll be honest, I'm not a big soccer fan, but I enjoy watching them play because of the way they get after it, how hard they run and how they get after playing the game. And they work together. That's one thing about soccer. It's got to be a total team sport. It's no one-on-one. They really have to play together, and this group plays together, and I'm real proud of them. But I'd like to call them up, and I'll call them starting with the coaches, then managers, and then players, and then I'll give the head coach an opportunity to say a few words on behalf of the entire Rialto High School soccer team. So as you get your certificate, go ahead and stand here. You'll be live on TV in the city of Rialto. The whole community gets to see you, and they're all very proud of you. So the first certificate of recognition is for Brian Valiente. Okay, Gabriel Ubario, not here. Okay, Jose Gonzalez, coach. Okay, Javier Mesa, coach. You're not here. Okay, I know that the athletic director gets the recognition. Are the managers here? Nope. Okay. All right. Carlos Bobadilla? Not here. Okay, Marco Bernal? Not here. Okay, we'll keep going. Hector Pinzon? Hector? Ernesto Salazar? Okay, Raymond Roman. Julian Ortiz. Rudy Reyes. Freddie Muniz. Brian Uskanga. Daniel Peñalosa. Eduardo Lopez. James Arona. Luis Coracero. Not here. Okay. Angel Rivera. Diego Venegas. Diego Sanudo. Walter Menjivar. Hector De Leon. Justin Barron. Giovanni Felix. Eduardo Garcia. And I know he's not here, but Anthony Perez. But if we can get the head coach, why don't you go ahead and come forward and say a few words about the Rialto High School year and give some words of encouragement.
Wow, this is amazing. Thank you so much for having us. First of all, I'd like to thank Joe Baca and the rest of the members of the council for this recognition. I'm so honored that you are proud of the performance of the Rialto High School boys soccer team. It has been an amazing season for us, being the San Andreas League champion and also the Southern Division 4 CIF champions. Overall record of 18-5-3. I am very proud of this group of gentlemen. I have to thank the team for believing and responding well to our coaching style. Responsibility, discipline, and hard work are some of the several values that we preach to our student athletes, and most importantly, Rialto civilians. So this group of gentlemen have endured all those characteristics throughout the season, and I'm sure they'll carry on as a lifestyle. And on behalf of the Rialto soccer team, we'd like to thank once again the city council members and the rest of the city for the recognition.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I'm gonna take these for the rest. Make sure they get them. And once again, I really want to congratulate this group. It's a great group of boys. They all work hard, and as the coach said, very well deserving. But we're real proud of all of you, the entire city, the entire council. So on behalf of the city council, we want to congratulate you, very proud of you, and wish you many successes and many more championships. So let's give them a round of applause. The 2018-2019 CIF Division 4 champions, Rialto High School. Congratulations to all of you, and thank you all for coming. Good job, guys. Huh? Yeah, absolutely. Let's bring the entire council in for a picture. Let's bring in the council for a picture. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Councilman Trujillo, Councilman Carazado. Two group photos, everybody.
All right. Well, that's great. And Councilmember Baca, how many would you say, Councilmember Baca, I'm sorry, how many would you say are going to be returning seniors?
I think there's probably like 80% of the teams coming back.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
a lot of them are returning.
So we'll get to look for it in next year as well.
Yeah, a lot of them I've had as students in PE, so they're great kids. I'm real proud of them. They look good. And I guess the thing that also meant a lot to me just here at the end is the fact that they came up here to shake everybody's hand. That showed a lot of class, a tribute to their coaches and their parents, good parenting. So real proud of the group.
Doing
Thank you,
very
Madam Mayor.
good. Well, that's great. Good job. Good job. Okay, so now our next item on the agenda is to go to oral communications, if we have any oral communications. Okay.
McDonald, Maldonado. Thank you.
Kiana Maldonado.
Hi, good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. I'm here tonight because I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Kiana Maldonado. I am the new field representative for Supervisor Josie Gonzalez. Since I'm new, I'm going around and introducing myself to every city. I do all the unincorporated cities, including Rialto. I don't have any updates to provide today for Rialto, but I just wanted to provide you my contact information. So please feel free to reach out to me with any county-related issues or questions. I believe I gave it to the clerk, so, oh, do you have them? Perfect. Okay, wonderful. So, yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lupe Camacho.
Okay.
Pull up their list here. Thank you very much. Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council and fellow residents. I am here tonight just on oral communications. I have two items that I wanted to make sure that I address and that I keep in the forefront of our mind, and hopefully we will not let these go and forget about them. The first one is regarding the contracting that we had promised and we had discussed extensively in the Budget Advisory Committee last year. The contracting that is consistently being done for engineering services, for construction management, project management, inspection services. Materials you have to contract out, but those particular ones we had discussed extensively in the BAC. And I know a lot of my fellow committee members, Robin being one of them that is present here today, David Phillips, which was another one. I know that they're concerned in seeing items keep coming up rather than having positions being advertised. And I was informed today by Hector, I think his last name is Gonzalez, one of our associate engineers, that the principal or the senior inspector, that position that was going to be hired, the two gentlemen that were approached and offered the position turned it down. So we're kind of back to square one with regards to inspection. And of course, some of the CM work that inspectors do as they do the inspections. So I wanted to just bring it to your mind, and let's keep it in the forefront. I know we keep having to hire consultants to do our CM, our inspection. I understand that, in our PM as well, our project management, and I understand we cannot halt everything. So we must keep these people going. We must keep the projects going and hire these people. But I'd like to just maybe give you a reminder, and if we can keep it in the forefront, and the citizens would like to see, at least I know the BAC people that I've been talking to are my fellow committee members from back then, would like to see positions being advertised for project managers and inspectors. We think that that's the better way to go. That's what we recommended based even on just the numbers. That was the best recommendation that we could come up with, and it's in our recommendation packet that we submitted to Mr. Steele. So I wanted to bring that to the forefront. The other small thing that I wanted to bring to the forefront is the CIP workshop. I wanted to find out if there's a lead time for when we're going to have that, because I know that the previous workshop we discussed, it was discussed discussed, that new projects were the ones that weren't going to be started. But I recall very clearly, and it was brought again to the forefront of my mind by several of the committee members from the BAC, that the original intent of reviewing the CIP was to assess the projects that are currently in the books, find out which ones are no longer viable because they've been on the books for so long, which ones are still viable, and if they are viable, what kind of schedule we need to modify to kind of mitigate our funding, the funding that we have to do these projects. I know we're doing a lot of these projects, doing DIF, utilizing DIF funds, but DIF funds, as we all know, is money that we borrow from the future. So it's, again, us as a city and as residents, we would really hate to fall into another situation where we're looking at really dire situations for, putting together another tax on us to be able to fund these projects, because we keep borrowing from ourselves from the future. That's what DIF is, development impact fees. We borrow a lot from what I saw in the budget, from what my fellow committee members saw. So we just wanted to make sure that that was not forgotten, and that we make sure that we have that CIP workshop to revamp the CIP that we currently have running, because we do have a lot of projects that keep coming up and getting funded and move forward, and it's sort of a train that we need to start slowing down before we get too far into it again, as we did a year ago. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. And let you know that it was discussed with me by several other BAC members. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you. Oh, and do we have a tentative? I asked a question about the tentative CIP.
Not
as of yet.
I'm aware of, no.
Nothing yet. Okay, thank you.
Next person, Robin Austin.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council,
Good evening.
audience. My questions are focused on the pothole situation in the city due to the heavy rains that we've had. I've noticed I live where I can drive northbound from Walnut and Lilac up going toward Renaissance in Easton, and there were repairs done about, say, a month ago, which immediately reappeared, and possibly more than what was repaired. So my question is, why do the repairs not take, shall we say? What is the schedule so far as to when that area is being repaired once again? And I noticed that on the agenda here, we have people with claims against the city for vehicle damage. I'm assuming a few of them are for potholes, and whether or not that schedule can be put on the website so we know when our sections are being repaired.
Okay.
Director Ackermeister, you'll last one.
Well, we have schedules for pavement resurfacing. The potholes is we're trying to go out and get all of the patching as they occur and as they're needed. And I know the council had directed additional funding so that we could use not only our armed forces but also contractor forces, and that has been an ongoing effort. And we continue to work in that area when I know we had rainy weather that impedes some of that. So now that we've got some dry weather, we're out also finding where we have opened up holes again and continue to repair them. A lot of the repairs we make are with the hot mix and are more permanent than would be with temporary cold patch that sometimes is done in a hurry to get the filled, and so that we can come back and do a more permanent fix. Some locations are just in need of full-blown resurfacing. So we can only just keep patching it until we're able to come back and do a resurfacing project. And I know we have some resurfacing projects already that have already started right now. There's one currently. We're planning the next batch of resurfacing. And then we also have an assessment underway right now to identify all the citywide needs so that we can also program. And we will end up having some projections on the website to show what that priority is based on council input on the priorities for the resurfacing of the streets, so.
I am aware of the section of Lilac I pointed out have I spoken to neighbors, is probably a resurface or break it all down to the bottom and then redo the whole street.
Okay.
I think both Lilac and Walnut in that area were identified on our SB1 list, and so they have already been identified as needs. And so, again, I think we're going to continue to move forward with overlays, and then when we have the actual assessment done throughout the city, we'll also have to incorporate that information into that.
Okay, thank you. I think the other thing more important was, I thought there was a list that was available on the website. Is that not the case, or how are we letting people know when we already have a pothole that has already been called in? But the information is not being displayed on the website on a list.
Yeah, we're working on having an interactive map that gives that information. We have the ability to produce it based on the data that we're collecting as we make those, but it's not live per se. We would have to generate that. I think one of the goals we have is to have a map that is interactive, maybe not real-time live, but live enough that it has the latest information that as it is collected and put in there. So it may not be to the minute, but it would be more like to the week or even a few days. That's not ready to be live at this point, but we can at least generate that map and provide that with some some effort involved in that.
Can you, in lieu of an interactive map, while you're working on that, at least do something like a PDF?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
So we can provide that and then just update it occasionally. It wouldn't be live, but it would be reasonably up to date.
All right.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that it for oral communications? All right. Okay, thank you. So now we'll move into reviewing the agenda and determining if there's any items that need to be pulled, or if someone has to note conflicts. And I think starting with Mayor Pro Tem, and I believe City Administrator, you had mentioned something as well. So Mayor Pro Tem.
Madam Mayor, I'm going to ask that the council tonight remove item E2, which is in regards to impact fees, and that item be sent to the Economic Development Committee for review and a discussion on calculation of impact fees and the effect that it's having on small business owners in our community.
Okay.
Additionally, the city attorney and city administrator have asked me to abstain on tab item number 1, which is in regards to slurry seal and pavement management. They've asked me to abstain because my street that I live on, Orchard Street, is one of the streets that's being slurry sealed. In my 17 years on this council, I've never seen a council member asked to abstain from a slurry seal or pavement management. However, tonight I'm being asked to do so. And I guess it's probably because all you would have to do is read the staff report to know why. I am going to abstain on this item in protest.
If I may, Mayor.
I don't really want to hear what your opinion is, sir.
Well, Mayor Pro Tem, I guess you've got counsel for one reason, and I apparently didn't get counsel because I see my street's going to be slurry sealed as well.
How amazing.
There may be more reasons that we need to know about.
Couldn't be political, could it?
I don't know.
Well, Madam Mayor, I just going to make a comment, and I don't want to get into a big debate and discussion over this, and, I'm a little bothered, I guess, that the Mayor Pro Tem would be answered, because, for this, there's no economic benefit. It benefits the whole neighborhood. It's a benefit to the whole community. It's not us. Now, if we just asked them to do our block and only our block, yeah, but that's not what we're doing here.
Right.
We're trying to pave the whole city as needed, so I think it's a little absurd, but, I don't want to get in a big debate on that up here.
Well, I agree, and I will be contacting personal legal counsel to address the city attorney and the city administrator.
Okay. City Administrator, you had something else you wanted to,
Madam Mayor, the consent item E1, we would like to pull that. It will come back to the council at a future council meeting. Not ready to be presented this evening.
okay, I take it you did ask the questions, that there wasn't anything that was...
Correct, both
pressing that
Finance
needs to
and
move
Director Brents, there's no emergency as long as we can bring it back in a timely fashion, yes.
Okay. All right, any other items?
I just have a question on E7,
Question on
which is
E7?
the billboard relocation. Can I just ask it real quick?
Yes.
Okay, I just have a question on E7. I know with other billboards, we'll come back to council to make sure that it has like local marketing, kind of like with the type of agreements we have with the other billboards and at the entrances of our city where they promote local events.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I just wanted to make that clear. It wasn't really clear to me. I mean, they had an image on there showing an announcement from the city, but I just wanted to make sure it was part of the project.
Yes.
First step in getting the billboard permitted, there'll be a property lease that has to come back, at which time you would include those PSA requirements.
That's the only question I had. Thank you.
Yes. Councilmember Caracellis?
I'd like to abstain from E3, E4, E5, and E6 due to a conflict of interest with my business at the Renaissance Marketplace. Thank you,
Okay.
Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you. Anything else? Joe, you have, okay.
Move
Well,
approval on the consent items, noting the abstentions.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Joe Backus Jr. and seconded by Councilmember Trujillo. Mayor Pro Tem.
Clarification that we have pulled item E2 also as
Yes,
part of this motion.
Pulled E1 and pulled E2. And then abstentions on 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, any objections? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay. And now we'll move into tab 1. Who's presenting?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council. Robert Eisenbeis, Public Works Director, City Engineer. Tab 1 is a request that City Council award a construction contract to Pavement Coatings Company in the amount of $1,442,959.50 for the annual pavement maintenance project, which is City Project 180805, and authorizes a purchase order with Wildan Engineering in the amount of $98,058 for construction management and inspection services for the project. This project will provide preventative maintenance, rubberized polymer modified slurry to approximately 5.5 million square feet of local residential streets within the Zone 4 area. Staff did a thorough review of the streets, and the map reflects those streets that will receive the slurry application. Several streets were in a condition that would require more than a slurry seal, so they were removed, and those streets will be addressed through another treatment at a later time. But the intent is to go forward with the streets that are in a condition that would be conducive to a slurry preventative maintenance treatment. On January 10th, 2019, the project was advertised with a notice inviting bids. On February 7th, 2019, the city received 4 bids. The lowest bid received was $1,442,959.50, submitted by Pavement Coatings Company of Jurupa Valley. Staff reviewed the bid references, the contractor's licensing, and found Pavement Coatings to be properly licensed and qualified. Additionally, staff negotiated scope and fee with Wildan Engineering for construction management and inspection services for the project. These services are professional services, are provided through the on-call professional services agreement with Wildan Engineering. And I would note that we are in the process of hiring another inspector that would help us reduce some of these services, but we're back to having to re-advertise that position and continue that recruitment. We have filled 1 inspector position, So we are making some progress in that regard. The idea, we would like to get the senior inspector and then possibly even add another inspector if this construction activity continues. In the meantime, we will have to use contract inspection to continue to move these projects forward. The specified project duration is 45 working days. The estimated start date is April 9th, 2019, and the estimated construction completion would be June 12th, 2019. The funds are already budgeted and available for this project in the Waste Management Fund using pavement maintenance fee funds. So I think the primary objective here is to use those funds that are paid by residents on their trash bills to affect residential streets. So you'll note that the area is residential streets that will have a direct benefit to those residents. In conclusion, staff recommends that the City Council award a construction contract to Pavement Coatings Company in the amount of $1,442,959.50 for the maintenance project. Authorize a purchase order with Wildan Engineering in the amount of $98,058 for construction management and inspection service for the project. Tom Mushinsky of Pavement Coatings is here, and I believe Dave Hunt and some of his associates with Wildan are also in attendance. If there's any questions, we're prepared to answer any.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? No question, entertain motion.
Move approval.
Second.
Been moved by Councilmember Baca Jr. and seconded by Councilmember Carasellas. Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Okay. Now, tab 2. There was nobody. No.
Okay, tab 2 is me also. Tab 2 is a request to authorize a second amendment to the professional services agreement with Wallace & Associates on a month-to-month basis through June 30th, 2019, and authorize the issuance of a purchase order increase in the amount of $194,000 for on-call construction management inspection services. The council approved the current agreement on October 27th, 2015. The agreement had a 3-year term that expired on October 26th, 2018, and on November 27th, 2018, council approved an extension through March 1st of 2019. That allowed some time for us to issue a request for proposals to basically rebid these services. That request was issued earlier this year. We've received 19 proposals. Those are being reviewed right now by some members of a panel that we've assembled with expertise in this area, and then we also have a citizen member as part of that panel as well to review these proposals and make a selection of one or more firms that can provide these services and basically get updated pricing for those services. So we expect to be able to return to the council, estimated on the meeting of May 14th, to be able to enter new agreements for those services, but until that time, we will need to continue to rely on the services of the existing agreement with Wallace & Associates primarily for land development related construction activities, and so they've been providing that for the last few years. There's a list of some of the projects they're currently working on in the staff report. Just to name some of those, some of them are there's both capital projects and also land development projects. The more prominent capital projects, the Joe Sampson Park, which is finished up. We're just going through the closeout, doing the paperwork on that. Community Center ADA improvements also completed, but finalizing the paperwork on that one. They're currently inspecting the citywide roof repair project. There's 5 different roofs that are being repaired on city facilities. The Fire Station 205 Phase 1 construction, the Metrolink parking lot expansion Phase 2, and off-site improvements for a development at Cactus Avenue in El Ravino that has city participation. And there's an entire list in the staff report of the other land development related projects that they're currently providing inspection services on. The proposed Second Amendment to the current agreement and the proposed purchase order increase will allow staff to complete the consultant selection process that I mentioned earlier. The amount of the proposed purchase order increase is based upon the cost of continuing the on-call construction inspection services through that period, based on the development permits and the cost that's recovered through the inspection fees on a pass-through basis. So with that, staff recommends that the council approve the Second Amendment to the professional services agreement with Wallace and Associates and authorize the issuance of a purchase order increase in the additional amount of $194,000. I'm prepared to answer any questions.
Anybody have a question? No?
Second.
It's moved by Councilmember Baca Jr., seconded by Councilmember Trujillo. Any objections?
Objection.
Okay. Hearing one objections. Any others? If not, 4-1. One objection. Okay. Tab 3.
Tab 3 is a request City Council award the construction contract to BWW and Company in the amount of $251,614.58 for construction of the Cedar sidewalk improvements and approve a professional service agreement with Wildan Engineering in the amount of $44,897.83 for construction management, inspection, and material testing for the project. On October 23, 2018, the city advertised a notice inviting bids for the construction of the sidewalk improvements, including an improved crossing at the Metrolink crossing along the east side of Cedar, north of Merrill Avenue. As you can see in the slide presentation, that's the location of the project. The project was posted on Planet Bids. On November 15, 2018, the city received 2 bids. Staff evaluated the bids and determined that BWW to be the lowest responsible and responsive bidder, with a submitted bid price of $251,614.58. The construction contract, bid abstract, and bid tabulations are included as attachments 1, 2, and 3. A comprehensive background check was conducted, and BWW received high ratings for work on previous projects for other agencies. Based upon the funding sources, staff also followed the Caltrans local assistant procedure in soliciting professional services for construction management, inspection, and material testing. A request for proposal was released on October 26, 2018. And on November 13, 2018, 4 proposals were received. The 4 proposals were reviewed and evaluated by a qualified selection panel that consisted of a supervising public work inspector from the city of Fontana, 2 professional engineers employed by the city of Rialto, and 1 consultant professional engineer. The top 3 ranked firms were interviewed on January 9, 2019, and the panel selected Wildan Engineering as being the most qualified to provide the requested services in accordance with the specific evaluation criteria identified in the RFP, and based upon the firm's demonstrated competence and professional qualifications. The evaluation scores are included as attachment 5. Funds for the project are budgeted and available in Measure I, Fund and Grant Fund. Staff recommends that the City Council award the construction contract to BWW and Company in the amount of $251,614.58 for construction of the Cedar sidewalk improvements. Award the professional service agreement with Wildan Engineering in the amount of $44,897.83 for construction management, inspection, and material testing services. And also recommend, due to the complexity of the Metrolink crossing, staff recommends that the council authorize the interim city administrator to approve and execute construction change order up to a cumulative amount of $25,000.
BWW, Bobby Wilson, is here in attendance, and also Representative Wildan Engineering here is also in attendance to answer any questions from the council.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem.
The engineering consultant that was one of the evaluators, what company does he work for? Mr. Rigoni? Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Nope. I was just trying to go over the notes. I didn't see where you had put the requested a 10% basically for contingencies, which I don't know what you would anticipate would be the unforeseen. This project, I think you guys pretty much have thoroughly scoped this out.
The only complexity is the crossing at the Metrolink and having to coordinate with the Southern California Regional Rail Authority, and just wanting to be able to address any issues that come up in that process. But it's something we're not anticipating. So if the council's desire was to not do that, we would move forward, and then if there were any issues, we'd have to bring it back to you.
Well, I thought you had coordination with
There has been.
SBCTA and Metrolink on this.
There has been, but once you start to excavate in their area, I mean, there's could be some unknowns in terms of what's underground and what their, they don't have the best plans to tell where their conduits and things are, so.
Okay. Well, I would really, I think I'd like to make sure that if we are going to give a 10% contingency, that it not be with the interim city administrator, but it comes back to council. Because I don't understand why we would, as this is a project we've been kind of working on for a long time, and why we would even anticipate that there would be some unforeseen activity. Because I think we started out once and we found a problem and we had to go back and do a redesign. So I will entertain a motion, hopefully without the contingency.
So move without the contingency?
No, contingency in, but it comes back to council, thank you.
I'll make a motion on tab item 3, if there is a contingency, that it come back to the council for approval.
If there's a need for use of contingency.
Okay. And that in effect is removing the contingency because it would require council approval.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Baca Jr., seconded by Councilmember Caracellas. Any objections to that?
Objection.
Okay, noting one objection. Motion carries. Tab 4.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. On tab 4, we bring to you a request for City Council to approve and authorize the following. An agreement with the California State Department of Healthcare Services authorizing transfer of public funds up to $1,136,394 to DHCS and accept supplemental payments for Medi-Cal services up to $1,886,008. Also, to approve the healthcare plan provider agreements with participating Medi-Cal managed care providers. Approve the agreement authorizing the payment of a 20% administration fee to DHCS and adopt Budget Resolution 7480. So this report consists of a multifaceted financial transaction we make annually with the state, which allows us to recoup costs for services provided for providing care for Medi-Cal patients. The Medi-Cal Rate Range Intergovernmental Transfer Program, or IGT, offers the city an opportunity to recover some of its costs in providing care for Medi-Cal managed patients. Currently, the amount we can recover is capped at 14% by statute. By participating in this IGT process, we are eligible to receive additional funding to supplement the unreimbursed portion with additional funds and funds restricted for EMS. This state and federal 50-50 match program supports the provision of EMS and medical transportation for Medi-Cal managed care beneficiaries served throughout the city's EMS program. This reimbursement is paid through 2 state-recognized plan providers, IEHP and Molina Healthcare of California. This is our 4th consecutive year in working with the IGT program. To date, we've received over $400,000 in general fund revenue and $2.4 million in restricted revenues. This has been a pretty smooth process, other than the 2 years ago we received $1 million extra, which we had returned since. All of the contractual agreements between the state and providers for maintenance in the program, as well as the updated correct table that outlines the financial distribution of the Medi-Cal managed care plan providers, are provided in the staff report in the packets in front of you, which follows the same process we've used for the past 3 years. In summary, this action allows the city to transfer money to the state at no risk to participate in a program that will provide $14,071 in general fund revenue and $542,153 in restricted revenue to be allocated for future benefit of Medi-Cal managed care patients. With that, staff recommends council to execute the following agreements. The IGT agreement with DHCS authorizing the transfer of the funds of $943,004 to DHCS to accept supplemental payments for Medi-Cal services up to $1,886,008 to agree and execute the plan for participating in the Medi-Cal managed care patient providers, as well as the IGT assessment fee authorizing the payment of 20% administrative fee to DHCS, and adopt a budget resolution authorizing staff to transfer the noted amounts in monies and fees. Sorry for the complex staff report. We've been told to trim that down over the past 3 years, so I'll take any questions if you have.
All right, thank you.
Madam Mayor, if I may, Chief Park, I believe there's a issue with the table in the staff report that council has the corrected version on the dais.
Yes, in your report, there was a table. It was the previous version of the table. We put the updated version in your staff report.
Okay. All right, any other questions on this?
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem and seconded by Councilmember Trujillo. I think I heard both. Any objections? Hearing none. Motion carries 1-2. Hear both of them. Okay. Tab 5.
Tab 5, Madam Mayor, is a request for the Rialto Housing Authority to approve a professional service agreement with LDM Associates to manage the housing repair program for a maximum amount of $75,000 annually for an initial term of 1 year with 2 optional extensions based upon performance, and then to adopt a resolution appropriating $25,000 to fund the contract. As you may know, the city provides home rehabilitation assistance to lower income households in Rialto through the Cal Home program and through the mobile home repair program. The latter is funded by CDBG and the other was a state funded program. In December of 2017, the development services specialist that ran those programs for many years, first through the RDA and then through the development services department, retired. And at that time we engaged LDM and Associates to continue the program forward for 2018. At that time we said we would put out a request for proposals and seek consultant services in subsequent years. In January of this year, we issued that request for proposals for housing program support services. It was registered through the purchasing department and Planet Bids. 363 vendors were solicited, 22 registered as interested, but only 1 proposal was received at the deadline, and that was from LDM Associates. LDM is well qualified to perform the subject services. They perform similar services for 15 cities in Southern California. They also administer our CDBG program. Currently, they have 11 applications in process. They've completed 4 construction projects, and they have 7 more in various stages of bidding, scope of work definition, or soon to be under construction. Funding is from the Rialto Housing Authority, which for the most part is either Cal Home program income or old RDA, low and moderate income housing loan repayments. It does not derive from the general fund, but we're asking for an initial contract amount of $75,000. $50,000 was budgeted in fiscal year 19, hence we're asking for $25,000 supplement to carry the contract for its first 12 months of operation. Staff's recommendation is to approve the professional service agreement with LDM and Associates for a maximum of $75,000 for a one-year contract to manage the RHA's home rehabilitation programs. Frank Perez from LDM and Associates is here in the audience. Rudy Munoz is the project manager, but unfortunately he was ill this evening. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions?
Move approval. Second.
Moved by Councilmember Baca Jr. and seconded by Councilmember Trujillo. Any objections?
Objection.
Okay. Motion carries with one objection. Okay. Tab 6.
Madam Mayor, I'll take the beginning of tab 6. In tab 6, staff's requesting that the City Council approve the Rialto Utility Authority Budget Resolution 05-19 and Resolution number 7482, confirming the finding of an emergency pursuant to the Public Contracts Code, ratify issuance of a purchase order to Madish Corporation in the amount of $49,000 for emergency slope repairs at the Rialto wastewater treatment plant, and find that the emergency has terminated due to the completion of the repairs. Essentially, we had a emergency situation that required action without having the opportunity or the timeliness to go out to bid on the project. That was requested through Public Works and approved under the purchasing ordinance authority in the city administrator's office. This action before you is to ratify that process, and Director Eisenbeis will explain the actions and the activities that occurred there.
So there's some photographs, I believe, in the PowerPoint that was part of the report. It's the first photograph's kind of from the bottom in the basin area. It shows some of the washout areas and the pipelines that were of concern. One of those pipelines is the storm drain that serves the treatment plant, and the other one is the actual pipeline of the effluent from the plant to the channel. So the one that was suspended was the storm drain pipeline, which actually was no longer actually in service, because that storm drain is now intercepted, and now what it serves is pumped to the headworks of the plant, and that's just mainly because over the years, this was the original storm drain. I think the regulatory requirements required for that storm runoff to now be pumped back and be treated rather than be allowed to run off from the site into the channel. But the big concern is the effluent of that plant, and the line is constantly active, and it serves the outfall from the treatment plant. So up above there's actually a road. This is the next views are from the top area where it's after it's in the middle of being repaired, but the entire road was washed out. So it did affect that road, and the big concern wasn't so much the road, but the pipelines. So this just shows other photographs showing as it's being repaired. We're fortunate that we had a contractor already mobilized on some other paving work that had the equipment and the ability, and they basically came to our assistance at our request. They were able to move very quickly and get in here and get this fixed before we had a catastrophe with our one of the pipelines. And we also submitted for relief funds based on the declaration of emergency through the governor's office. So because it did involve a road that was in use, we're hopeful that that will get some attention, and we will recover those funds. I'm prepared to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Move approval.
Moved by Councilmember Baca Jr., seconded by Councilmember Trio. Any objections?
Objection.
Okay, so the motion will carry with one objection. Tab 7.
Okay, that's me. I'll bring up the end here. Tab 7 is a request that council award a construction contract to JM Alvera Engineering Incorporated. in the amount of $4,721,521.74 for construction of the Alder Avenue and Randall Avenue Street Improvements Project, and also to approve the First Amendment to the Professional Services Agreement with Dawkin Engineering in the additional amount of $197,990 for additional construction, right-of-way, and environmental support services during construction. This project has been going for some time, and I know it's been a long time coming, and we're glad to finally be here. It started as two separate projects that were with two concurrent delivery schedules. And last year, they were combined in order to maximize the opportunity for funding through the grant under Senate Bill 1, the gas tax bill. By combining the two projects, we were able to maximize that grant application, and we were successful in obtaining that grant. And it basically was just over $2 million that the city received in that grant. So that just under half the cost of these two projects to widen both Alder Avenue and Randall Avenue. The downside to getting that state funding is that it did delay our ability to move forward with the project. We had to go through, took additional time to obtain the required programming and authorization through the California Transportation Commission. But we have successfully gotten all of the required approvals. It did also require us to go through a specific selection process for the construction management consultation, which we did, and selected Berg, and council previously awarded a contract to Berg and Associates to do the construction management inspection. So that piece is already in place. Over the last 3 years, the city has been in the process of acquiring the right-of-way, and we now have all of the right-of-way required for both roadways. There were some challenges, I know, on the Alder Avenue because there were certain owners that were hard to get a hold of, and in some cases there were people that had, the owners were deceased, and we had to work through a probate process through the courts, and so that took a considerable amount of time to get that right-of-way. But I'm happy to report that we have all the right-of-way we need, and we also have all of the utility agreements with both Edison and Fontana Water for the relocation of utilities. And so that allows us to move forward with where we are today to award a construction contract. On February 4th, 2019, the city released RFP 19003 and advertised the notice inviting bids for the project, posted it on Planet Bids. And on February 27th, 2019, the city received 5 bids. Following the bid opening, Public Works staff reviewed each bid for completeness and required information, individual work item amounts, and bid totals. The 3 lowest bids were further evaluated, checking bid computations, prime and subcontractor licenses, Department of Industrial Relations registration, state insurance, presence of any actions against the contractors, and also check previous project references. Based on the evaluation of the bids, staff recommends that the council accept the bids submitted by JM Alvera Engineering Incorporated as the lowest responsive bid in the amount of $4,721,521.74. Staff reviewed the submitted bids and references as mentioned. Table 1 in the staff report presents a summary of the bids received. At the time the bids were opened, the bid submitted by Aramex Construction appeared to be the lowest bid. However, upon reviewing that bid, staff determined that the bidder had failed to properly add the individual bid schedules, and doing so resulted in an actual bid amount of $6,916,087.88, making it the highest bid received. In reviewing the bid submitted by JM Olivera Engineering, staff determined that the prime contractor will perform 57% of the work, which meets the city's requirement of at least 50%, although the contractor inadvertently indicated 43%, which is the amount that will be performed by the listed subcontractors. This inadvertent mistake should be considered a minor irregularity and would not disqualify the bid. Additionally, staff is requesting council approval for additional support services by Dock and Engineering and additional support services during construction. That would include engineering support, reviewing of materials submittals, other submittals that the contractor will make as the engineer of record to confirm that it's consistent with the intent of the design. Also to provide additional support for environmental services in compliance with the required environmental documents, the mitigation monitoring reporting program. That would be on an hourly basis as needed and as requested. Sufficient funding is budgeted and available for the requested action in the Transportation Development Impact Fee Fund and the SB1 Grant Fund. There is also general funding budgeted in the project. However, because of the grant, it appears that we may be able to complete this project without using any of the general funds. So that would actually save general funds directly. Staff recommends that council award a construction contract to J.M. Olivera Engineering Incorporated in the amount of $4,721,521.74 for the construction of the Alder Avenue and Randall Avenue Street Improvements Project. Approve the First Amendment to the Professional Services Agreement with Dock and Engineering in the amount of $197,990 for construction and environmental and right-of-way support services. Tonight in attendance we have representatives from J.M. Olivera Construction and also from Dock and Engineering. If there's any questions, prepared to answer them.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Does this project include the undergrounding of utilities?
The project currently includes relocating, but not undergrounding. There are some development that's actually undergrounding on Alder, and I know the question was raised about the undergrounding for the park, and that's something we'll look at to see if we can work with Edison without delaying the project to accomplish undergrounding in front of the park.
Is it supposed to be undergrounded in front of the park?
I would have to check to see if that's applicable to, I mean, I know that the general preference is to underground for new development, so I guess I would have to. Was it in the original plan to underground it? The original plan was just relocation for purposes of widening the roadway, which, because it's under the franchise agreement, so there's really no cost to the city.
How much money did we spend on Sampson Park?
I want to say just over $5 million.
So a $5 million project, if that was a private project, would you have required the developer to underground the utilities?
Most likely.
So why wouldn't the city of Rialto underground the utilities when you expect every private project to underground?
Understood.
No, I'm not asking if you understand. I'm asking you why you wouldn't have done it.
I'm sure it was, the reality is we came in right on budget with the park.
Reality is we have a separate standard for the city than we have for private developers, correct?
I would not like to think that, but
well, I would, because you require everybody else to underground a project, either that or pay fees for future undergrounding. Yet the city of Rialto built a $5 million project and had nothing in that project to underground the utilities. Not only that, but there's not even conduit put in there for future undergrounding, which, if I'm correct on this, the utility easement would be behind the curb face, correct?
Yes.
So you'd have to dig all that up in order to underground it.
It could be behind the sidewalk, perhaps, in the right of way.
But you still have to dig it up.
Yeah.
So I think the residents of this community deserve an explanation of why there are two sets of standards for the city of Rialto and developers. And I think developers have a right to know that. We charge a lot of money in impact fees. We charge a lot of money to make these people underground stuff, yet we built a $5 million project and did not entertain undergrounding the utilities. even though I think every person sitting up here thought they were going to be undergrounded. And now they're sitting out in the middle of a street, waiting for somebody to move them.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Well, that was going to be my question and comment as well. And I had that discussion with Mr. Eisenbeis as well as I think with Mr. Grayson. And I've asked them to go back and contact Edison and see what it would take and cost, because to your point, and I don't disagree, the other side of it is that we're not even providing our citizens with the best end product when we leave those poles. So it's not, we're saving on one end, or I feel like we're always, doing being a penny wise and a pound foolish, because we left the poles. We're going to move them out of the roadway, but we're going to still leave them, and so it just doesn't provide us that clear view. And so I would hope that we talk with them and find out what it will take, because we're going to have to take the poles up, and we're going to have to impact the roadway to remove poles, and then we're going to have to set them back behind the sidewalk. So either way, we have to put labor forth to make something happen.
Well, not only that, but you're impacting all the residents across the street, because most of the services to those houses come from the north side of the street.
So, anyway, anyone else? If not, a motion to move the project forward.
I had a question, Madam Mayor. I know that the Mayor Pro Tem brings up a good point with the undergrounding. Would we have additional dollars to pay for an undergrounding? Because I know that would be an additional cost, which if we need to do it, we need to do it. The question
There will be
is,
additional costs.
okay, the question is, do we have the funding pool to pull from to pay for?
I think they're going to have to look at that, because what is the account that we have, the funds that are usually dedicated from Edison, but I believe those funds are already being expended on another project underground.
Yeah. There wouldn't be a possibility under the Rule 20 project in the short term. That's a much longer term proposition, but with the savings that this project has based on the grant funds, there is likely sufficient funds to do that underground and accomplish that. We just want to make sure we can do it without delaying the project for the widening, so.
So how much of this money is grant funded, and are there timelines attached to that, or strings?
Well, yeah, the grant does have some timelines on it, very strict timelines for the construction. It's about $2 million that we've received in the grant funds.
What are the strict timelines?
We need to start construction next month, and we need to be completed, I think, within a year.
So 1 year?
Yeah, I don't think by us looking at undergrounding them is going to delay the project. And to your question, you wanted to know when did we start this? We did our initial study on this project starting May 3rd, 2015. So to the point of delay, I think one of the things I recall was we purposely delayed the project so we could take advantage of going after the grant. So we have the grant, and I believe the grant provided us, it's almost about half of the amount, right?
You said $2 million.
Yes.
Yeah, $2 million,
Yeah.
so. I think we need to get the answers, though,
Absolutely.
and look at it. And whatever funds we have to do to take it, but right now we don't have the answers. But I do believe.
Well, I think we can initiate the undergrounding with Southern California Edison and work that parallel with the project for the widening. And if there needs to temporarily be overhead until that can be accomplished, it will at least allow the widening to proceed forward and allow the final street improvements to occur, realizing that we might follow behind that with another project.
Can we have a report back on the status of this by the next council meeting, at least estimating the costs to underground, the time, the impacts to the residents that are going to be, that are, as you said, fed their electricity.
There's a lot of them.
and at least have that back to us.
Yes.
But proceed on moving this project so that the construction, the contractors can get underway.
Yeah, just one last comment, Madam Mayor. Just, I don't like the idea of the undergrounding not being there because, it doesn't look as good aesthetically, not being undergrounded. But at the same time, I don't want to lose the $2 million. I'd hate to lose that money because $2 million, a lot of money for the city to come up with in regards to this project. And just a comment on the lowest responsive bidder. One of the things I am pleased that it is a San Bernardino County business. I think the other businesses that put in a bid were Riverside County, LA County, and Orange County. And it is a local bidder in Highland. So that's good to see. So I move approval on this project and do concur with the mayor bringing back a report status on the underground.
Next council meeting, please.
Yes.
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Councilmember Parker Jr. and seconded by Councilmember Trujillo. Any objections?
Objection.
Okay, noted. Motion carries with one objection. Okay, all right. That concludes the work activities. I just wanted to say I can appreciate the constant concerns about the consultant usage. I know the staffing issues is not only as it relates to what we're doing in attempts to try and hire, but we have a number of positions, and unfortunately, you can get down to the selection and then a person can make choices for other jobs. So in the meantime, we do have to move forward. I just was tallying up roughly 3 or 4 projects, and we put out close to 6.5, maybe $6.6 million worth of work on the street, and it's good to get it out there so that we can get, once we get past the rainy season, we can get some of these things repaired. So with that, I'll go into reports, and I would just like to say before I forget that our former mayor, Grace Vargas, she was taken, she took ill over the weekend and was transported. I've been checking on her, and she's still in the hospital. She's not very happy. She had to be moved from Arrowhead Regional over to not Kaiser Fontana, but Kaiser Riverside, because they didn't have beds in Fontana, so she's a little irritated about that, protesting, but she's went nonetheless. But she does have the flu, and they are very concerned about the flu and what it may do. So she's still there, and I'm sure if anybody would like to call her or go by or help her break out, she'll appreciate it. She's over, so let's send her our well wishes for a speedy recovery. Okay. So with that, you guys want to start on this end?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Attended a event for the Rialto School District, the No Kid Hungry, which is a breakfast program that's provided for free to the schools that start adopting it. And Hugh Banks Elementary was one of the first schools to adopt it. I want to congratulate Dr. Monty Stewart, the principal at Eubanks Elementary, for being one of the first adopters, and he was recognized nationally. And what the program does is, instead of sending your kid earlier to school, they actually bring in a breakfast in the class, so it allows the kids to start the day with a healthy breakfast, and it helps them focus a lot more, because a lot of times there's a lot of statistics that show that some kids go to school without having breakfast because of their parents either busy morning or whatever the case may be. But I just was there, and my wife and I were there, and we were just, my wife spoke on as a parent. Our daughter Audrey, we didn't even know about the program, but she now is wanting to skip breakfast at home because she enjoys the breakfast there in class and gets to socialize with her friends in school. And lastly, today was the official grand opening of the Chop Stop there at the Renaissance Marketplace. And I want to thank my favorite city clerk, which she does not like me to call her my favorite city clerk.
How many do you have?
There's a lot, but she's my favorite no matter what. And all of these grand openings that are going on in the city are very well organized. There's everything, everybody is there in line. She's making sure that the ribbon's there and that everybody gets their opportunity to go through the grand opening. And I just wanted to thank you for being there all the time and making sure that these grand openings go smoothly. And that's all I have today, Madam Mayor. Thank you. Hey, good evening. I just wanted to also echo a lot of the work that's being done in our community on behalf of the school district. I noticed I went to one of their public safety meetings and noticed that our police department was really involved in coordinating the safety of our students. So I just wanted to thank the police department for collaborating with the school district and making sure all of our kids are safe in our community. And, I also had the opportunity, I know there's Councilman Baca was also in attendance, but we did the Read Across America on March 2nd. It was great to be able to kind of talk with the kids. And I actually had a fifth grade class, and I started talking about some of the things that we do in the city, and they really enjoyed kind of talking about how development happens, how our city functions, and they really enjoyed the fire department because they got some little hats to go along with that. So they all want to be your future firefighters for you. So, yeah, there you go. I'll let them know. But I really enjoyed it. I was able to go to Myers Elementary School, went to Trapp Elementary School and Bemis Elementary School throughout the city, and I just really enjoyed taking the day off and just really talking to the kids and getting their feedback on their community. And I wanted to say thank you to all the people who made it happen, all the parents and the administrators and the teachers who took the day to celebrate the importance of reading to our kids. So I'll say thank you for that. And I have been able to attend some other events. Let's see. Sorry. Had a great event with the mayor and the city clerk. Again, thank you. Great job with the State of the Women's event as well, and enjoyed listening to some of the comments you guys had, and as well as being able to see Lynn Valbuena being recognized at the event. From a lot of us, I think it's important to have that conversation among women to really talk about how we can provide more opportunities in our community. And so I along with my colleagues, we just want to say thank you for providing that space. And then other than that, I just wanted to say, I really enjoy being here, and have a great day. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just want to keep our former mayor, Grace Vargas, in our prayers. Real nice lady, wonderful woman, did a great job for our city and really represented us well. And just, you want to wish her well and good health. So just want to send my prayers out to Grace Vargas and her entire family. Just a wonderful human being and a good friend. I too had an opportunity to participate in Read Across America, and I just want to congratulate the Rialto Unified School District. We're really promoting literacy in our community. That's just so important. And, as these kids go and compete against, other cities, other parts of the country and state, where, as much as we can expose our kids to all the enrichment we give them is very, very important. So through literacy, they can offer that enrichment. So I think it's a great job, and I was really honored to participate. So it's good to see the kids and the teachers do a good job in the program. And also had opportunity to attend the State of the Woman. Want to thank the mayor for gathering that event together, and got an opportunity to see the chairwoman, Lynn Valbuena, who does a great job for the San Manuel Band of Mission Indians, really leading them, and
talked about sovereignty and where they were and where they are today, and they've really come a long ways. And they've struggled at one time, but have really, been able to invest their dollars wisely, and they really give back. San Manuel's given a lot back to the community, and I really appreciate it, not forgetting their local community. But it was a great event, great turnout, a lot of Rialto residents there. I mean, a lot of Rialto residents. So it's good to see them. They felt real positive about the event, and despite the rain, still a great turnout. So that was a great event, The other thing I had an opportunity of doing this past week, this is more on a personal note, I coach softball at Rialto High School, so I had an opportunity to take our entire softball team to the state capitol and give them a mini tour. I got to take them on the assembly floor. They got to actually sit where our Assemblymember Reyes sits. And I think one of the things that really inspired our girls when they were looking at the rotundas, when they had the Women History Month, and they've seen all these women that have accomplished great things in our state. And I think that was real inspiration for our girls, and knowing that they can go out and do great things. And we got a great group of girls. I'm real proud of them. So it was good exposure. It gets back to that enrichment, exposing our kids to as much as we can. So I think those things are important. The other thing I just think we need to have a conversation with in this city is how we abate vacant buildings. I think that's really, really important. One of the ones that's becoming an eyesore is the old El Kiosco, with the weeds. You're seeing a lot of times our police department, fire department having to respond to squatters and fires at this place. And I know that there's been a sign out there for probably maybe a year and a half for a food mart or local mart, and I'm not sure where we're at with that. But in the meantime, I think we just can't leave that, because that ends up being a big drain on our resources, having to keep responding to this, vacant land. And this is not the only property. We've had several properties throughout the city that's really draining our resources. So I think it's something we got to have a good conversation about and start abating it, and start being aggressive on these vacant properties, because it's just an eyesore for our community, and it really just diverts a lot of resources. But I think we have to have that conversation. And maybe Rob Steele, is there any timeline on when that food mart, or I know that sign's been up for a long time.
I think they were just at the Transportation Commission last week, so I think they're wrapping up their entitlements. Other than that, I don't know what their schedule is, but usually it's pretty short after the Transportation Commission.
Yeah, just curious, because I've seen those signs, Beyond Mart. I think they have another sign near the Renaissance, right?
Yeah, they have 3 of them in the city.
3 of them. And where's the third one? Renaissance?
Riverside.
South End.
Is it Santa Ana?
Okay, all right. But I just think we got to have that conversation. But that concludes my comments, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I agree with Councilmember Baca's comments on these abatements. We have a lot of vacant, empty buildings all over the city where we have issues, especially with homelessness, and we need to deal with it. It's my understanding that even some of the freeway signs along the 210 freeway, that there are issues with break-ins on those and the stealing of electricity and people living inside of those signs. We need to give code enforcement some priorities and get them to start dealing with it. I'd also like to talk about the MAD Gala, and that is to recognize law enforcement in both Riverside and San Bernardino counties. That's going to be next Thursday, March 21st, at Chaffey College Chino Community Center in Chino. There are a number of our police officers that will be recognized and given awards. Additionally, Rialto Water Services will be awarded the Business of the Year for their involvement and support of MAD in our city and county. And our own chief, Mark Kling, will be the MC of the event. I'm one of the speakers, so Rialto's got a lot of involvement in that event. Additionally, our MAD 5K walk is May 4th. Same location. Yeah, we put it earlier so it wouldn't be so hot. We want to invite everybody to come out to it. We've got a lot of schools involved in it this year. And it will be at Margaret Todd School. Is that the right? Warner Elementary over on Rialto Avenue. So we want to invite everybody to participate It's a good event. We raise a lot of money for MAD, and I appreciate everybody being involved. I'd like to ask on the next closed session agenda that a discussion be put on there regarding these claims against the city involving vehicle damage. I'd also like the third-party attorney that represents the city in dealing with this to participate in that discussion, since these are all potential lawsuits. Additionally, I'd like an item to be placed on the agenda for, because of potential litigation regarding the city's municipal code and the lack of following the municipal code, which jeopardizes the city to lawsuits. And that's all I have for tonight. Oh, one other thing.
Go ahead.
Potholes. The people that spoke about potholes tonight, I too am very unhappy with how we're dealing with potholes in this city. There are potholes all over the city. I understand there's a rain problem, but we gave staff the opportunity to bring on contractors with extra money to patch holes, and it's just not getting done. A lot of cars are being damaged. Potholes are clearly everywhere. We need to address them. So I would like to see at the next council meeting the plan, not the plan we have, but the plan for dealing with potholes in this city, because they're just going to get worse as the streets dry up and the asphalt starts peeling off. So that's all I have, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, like the potholes. But again, I just want to say, and I don't know if we have a few of the pictures that we could share with the audience tonight, but once again, I want to thank everyone who participated in the State of the Women event. Special thank you to the company who helped to make it possible, and this was an interesting, unique opportunity to actually, we've been going into the warehouses just before they have a tenant in and having the event. This was an occasion where we had the opportunity to participate and be in a full operation industrial facility, which was Medline Industries, while they were busy working and moving product and equipment and trucks. But everyone had a great time, and I'm very pleased that I call her Chairwoman Lynn was able to to be the keynote speaker or to present, and also to be recognized as the Jewel awardee for this year. And just to echo what I think Councilmember Bacchus Jr. said, I mean, really listening to him and knowing the pathway that the San Manuel Indians or Santos Manuels, oftentimes no one thinks about what they would call their ancestral territories. They were originally covering over, I think she said, 7.5 million acres of land. That was their territory. It covered all the way from East LA, just west, all the way up to the high desert, and as far over as to Yucca Valley. And then when the executive order was signed that basically moved them to the reservation, they ended up with 640 acres of land and right up against up the mountains, and having a real hard time and a real struggle with trying to continue. But when you talk about giving back, and the theme this year was just about women who are change agents and help to continue to move history forward. You think about the women that played a role in the San Manuel Indians. It was her grandmother and her mother, her grandmother was the one who actually brought electricity and water to the reservation. And that was interesting to me, that she would be still in the presence. They had beautiful pictures of her as a child. But if you saw the paper today, to think about really giving back to the community, I don't know if you know, but they this morning in the paper, they actually provided $25 million to Loma Linda University, establishing an endowment. And so, I mean, I said, boy, that is really giving back, rather than being concerned about how you may have been treated or what was taken, but to continue to give back to the local community and the local the hospital as well as the facility. So I was just really honored to have her in our presence, but also to share. Sometimes we always think that we're the only ones walking our own plight or our own situation until we hear someone share their journey and how they've managed to still continue to be positive and moving forward. So that's that, and I want to just send the prayers and thoughts to Grace. It was good to see Grace the last time we saw her. She came to the Joe Sampson grand opening of the park, and so to know that she's now trying to get a speedy recovery, but maybe moving her from Arrowhead over to Riverside will be enough that it'll anger her and cause her to get well and can move back home. She did not want to be over in Riverside. I too just want to echo, and I've had the conversations with the city administrator and staff and the attorney. I noticed you were taking notes when you talk about the abatements and how buildings that have been burned and the action or the level or the level of urgency that we seem to be taking or not taking really concerns me. And I've spoken about the burned out facility on Foothill right across from Stater Brothers. I've asked for a timeline. That fire occurred in November and 2018, and for various reasons we seem to be being very procedural, but I'm hearing that the attorney's office could have taken it and we could move it forward with getting a citation, putting a public notice, and begin to abate the property and put the whatever we need to put on that property. But to leave it sitting on Foothill Boulevard as an eyesore, as if we are not focused on it or interested, it just really is. It's almost like an insult to our community. And so those are the things. And then when you see the one on Riverside, and you see El Kiosco, and it's been burned and boarded and weeds and things. So I would love to,
El Patio, too.
And El Patio. And which one?
The mortuary.
The mortuary, yes. Or the fire that we had, the soy machine shop, and and it just goes on and on. And then not only that, I thought Councilmember Baca Jr., you would probably also mention, lately it seems like we've seen increase of proliferation of shopping carts. They're beginning to be out on the curves and out into the landscape. And I would just like to know, do we have a company that is even going around picking them up, or who is picking them up? Are we, our maintenance staff, taking it? So those are some things that would be helpful and healthy for us to have a discussion on. And of course, then the vendors. We have the law that's passed, and we're kind of like in a state of paralysis about how we're approaching vendors and where they are and which vendors are allowed and which ones are not, and the safety concerns of them. So we, probably don't have enough time to really share with it, but it would be helpful if we put on our website for our citizens to understand and maybe share with our commissioners that if there's the law, what does the law says? I've heard from the law says they can now be anywhere and everywhere, and that's not so. The law allows for them to be in the public right-of-way on a sidewalk, but they still have to have the appropriate license and health license if they're dispensing food, and they can't be on the public sidewalk obstructing the sidewalk if a person needs to get by. So there are some things when you look at it, or creating a safety hazard with people stopping their cars to buy things out of the windows of their cars and holding up traffic. Of course, it also takes people being in a position to have enough resources to enforce it. But we do need to put something out and let folks know that it is a problem. And as soon as you have somebody who ends up either, sadly, unfortunately, rearing, hitting someone because they didn't know they were going to make immediate stop, they will still be a problem, but we need to share with the community what is going on and what we can and what we can't do. Yes, General Counsel.
Real briefly, Madam Mayor, I did present a discussion item on that particular issue for the Institute of Progress. Now that's been postponed, but I am happy to share that with the city clerk and make it available for your website.
Well, I would love to have that on the website. And then I'd also like to have, we sit here and talk about a PDF file. I know we have resources. We have Esri. Esri came out here. It's simple for us to begin to put a location for where the general area where a pothole is and be able to populate that. It should not take us more than 30 days to come up with it, because I believe we've been talking about it for a while. We've kind of been under pothole siege since what, October, November, December. So we really need to come up with something that's a little bit more where people can feel that they're calling things in and they are being addressed. So that's about it for me. I think, again, we've got a lot of work coming out, and the rain stopped, and the weather is supposed to be warming up, and so hopefully if we get out and put material in the potholes, they should stick for a while. So anything, interim city administrator, is there anything you would like to
Mayor,
report?
with your permission, if we could, Director Brents would like to share a job event that's coming up this Friday here in the city.
Yes, this week, Friday, the San Bernardino Area Census Office 2020 Census Jobs will be at the Rialto Resource Center, 141 South Riverside Avenue. Jobs available include office clerk, office operations supervisor, census field supervisors, enumerators, and recruiting. The phone number to call is 1-855-JOB-2020. So 1-855-562-2020. This week, we have a copy of the flyer. If folks want them, they'll be there Friday the 15th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
That's good to know. And they actually will be hiring.
Yes.
Okay. All right, anything else? Just second, add to that, but City Treasurer, I'm glad you did raise your, because there was one other thing I wanted to ask for. Go right ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Just a couple of things. Councilmember Carasada's favorite city clerk and I attended the Sherwin-Williams paint store grand opening. We were there to represent the city, and that turned out great. We did the ribbon cutting and all that good stuff. Also, and I'll share with the city attorney, I attended a workshop last week with the County of San Bernardino Health Department regarding the street vendors, and there was a really good presentation. They had a lot of handouts and a lot of information that's very important. And one of the things that they didn't have an answer for me when I asked regarding the street vendors, and this is something that I've noticed when I've traveled to downtown Los Angeles where they do have the street vendors, is the mess that they leave on the sidewalk after being there, especially when they're serving food and those kinds of things, and they leave potential, as a risk manager, the slip and falls with the grease and all that stuff, and there's seems to be any regulatory on the health department side to make sure that they clean their spot that they use during that time. So that's something seriously that we need to look at and see how we can regulate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. No, I did observe that as well. One of the vendors was pouring their excess water out onto the sidewalk, and it probably would not necessarily be considered hazardous waste, but nonetheless it was the residue from their day activity. The thing I was going to ask about was, and I would love to know, I know that we have our new finance director here, and she's working diligently to try and get all of our financial matters in order. But I would like to, one, General Counsel, go back and visit our ordinance on investment, and I would like to know who is our investment representative, if we have someone under contract, and if we do, I'd like to have a report from that person to present to council, rather than, I don't know if by just posting it in our agenda is basically giving us the status of our enforcement. I know that we get a quarterly report or charts, but really, actually, is there an investment representative versus, or is it the investment representative / treasurer? But I'd like us to have a public report, maybe when the next one is due.
Would you like me to
Yes,
respond
please.
to that? Yes. So I am the city treasurer and the chief investment officer. And we use various vendors outside of the city. One of our main investors is Wells Fargo Advisors, and then we have an approval process as part of our investment policy that you approve every year as to how we vet and identify outside entities that help us with our investments.
Okay, so then you would be able to give a public presentation.
Yes, ma'am.
On that. Okay, good. Thanks. Well, that will conclude it. Any other comments or things?
Move to adjourn.
I'm sorry, Lupe, yes, Ms. Camacho and City,
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. I just wanted to do a little bit of clarifying. I had received, and I keep tabs on the information regarding SB1, as you're probably well aware. And I know that Mr. Eisenby said that we had a deadline of next year for that Alder project, the Alder Randall project. And I actually received direct information from Christine Gordon, the Assistant Deputy Director of the CTC, the California Transportation Commission, that we have 36 months starting October of 2018. So that would put the deadline 2021 rather than next year. So we have some time. Just thought I'd share that, and you'd have that available so that you know that there's actually a total of 3 years.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
It's true, we're required to submit a revised, updated schedule and have it approved by CTC.
Thank you. Madam
I
City
just
Clerk.
was going to announce that Saturday, we have Passport Day from 10 to 3 out in the parking lot at the city clerk's office. So citizens, residents, friends, neighbors, please come by and process your passport on Saturday, 10 to 3.
Okay, so is that all it? If nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, it's moved by Councilmember Barker Jr. and seconded by Councilmember Trujillo. No objections? Objecting? Sir? Any objections to adjourning?
As much as I'd like to know.
We're adjourned.